highly chaotic nature. Thus awakened, the Hades function will now seize control of the terraforming system and reverse operations, rendering life on Earth extinct in 53.8 days. For obvious reasons, I cannot allow this to occur.
Welcome to the Gaming Pulpit. This is your host, All Things Sony. Let me know in the comments what you liked or disliked about the video, and if you liked it, a sub would be appreciated. And let us begin. Yes, the Naughty Dog virus. I'm so sorry. I was just thinking about this shit the last couple of days, and how I kind of want Sony to continue on with their, success. The problem here is that I feel like Naughty Dog is a virus to, the Sony studios. I mean, I want to say this, right? Because I don't want The Last of Us to be a trend. I want The Last of Us to be its own thing. I want Naughty Dog to be its own thing. I want Guerrilla Games to be its own thing. All of the studios to be their own thing. This is going to come off as sounding like I'm hating on The Last of Us or whatever the case is, and it's well known that I do have an issue with the way that they present their stories and stuff like that. But I, on the other hand, like the fact that developers under Sony could actually express their freedom. You know what I mean? Freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So I can't entirely be upset about that. You know what I'm saying? My issue is this: they tend to really hammer home whatever ideology that they are feeling at the moment in terms of Naughty Dog. And I feel like The Last of Us definitely had an impact on God of War. I don't want it to be a trend for all of the studios to follow. I mean, story-driven things is something that Sony has been doing the whole time, making cinematic experiences. We all know this. But the whole extra drama, I don't want. I mean, The Last of Us is a zombie game, and it's at its core. And it should be, I mean, that's their freedom of speech. That's their freedom of expression. So I'm not even going to get into that particular portion. I just don't want all of the studios to have that formula and then think they should be making brolic ass women, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. Like, there's ways of making female characters, such as the game that you see in the background here, that you make a strong character. She doesn't have to look like a fucking man. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't have to, I don't need a man, and Destiny Child independent woman shit. You know what I mean? Like, the chick has feelings. There was a lot of female elements to this game, and I love the game to bits. The way that I see that Naughty Dog is doing it, I don't think is a good way. I hope that the studios maintain their own identity through the success of The Last of Us. I don't want them copying over that shit, because that's not why I signed up for Sony's platform. It's not the reason why I want the games. It's the variety is what I like, variety. Speaking of which, the Sony Formula, people kind of misconstrue what Sony does, and I can definitely see why Sony wanted to make an actual icon or a logo for their studios. You got this game, for instance, in the background, The Last Guardian. It is a very specific game. It doesn't look or play like any of the games that Sony has. And you got Gravity Rush, you got a whole bunch of different things, so I just wanted to kind of, hammer home the fact that this is the reason why I like Sony as a platform. You know what I'm saying? They tend to make very unique experiences, and I want it to stay that way. You know what I'm saying? I don't want all of the fucking games to be like, we have to make a female lead character, we have to make a black character, we have to do this. Just make a fucking game. That's all I really care about. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what Cat is for Gravity Rush, what race she is, but it was already magical girl type anime thing that they had going on there, or themes I should say that they had going on there. And you're not going to find an experience like this at all. You're not going to find The Last Guardian, excuse me. You're not going to find any of these types of games anywhere, really. What do you call it? Shadow of the Colossus. You're never going to find anything like that. It's just funny when I go on social media and they have like the Sony template, right? And they'll have like bow and arrows, and they'll just have this one pre-selected picture of everybody using bows or a forest and shit like that. I guess this video is really all about rambling at the moment. This is just shit coming off of my head. Things that I was thinking about. It's definitely a different vibe and feel in this particular video. But like in the background, you know what I'm saying? You got this, you know, quintessential tough, rough, you know, white male. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't have it I wouldn't want it any other way. You know what I'm saying? Let Sony be Sony. Let Sony do what they're going to do. You know, they just have a shit ton of variety, from Gran Turismo to Shadow of the Colossus to Days Gone to The Last of Us to Horizon Zero Dawn, you know, to Omega Boost to, you know, RPGs. It's just, I want Sony to keep that formula, and I want people to know as well Sony doesn't just make these cinematic experiences as well. They make a lot of different things. It's a lot of different things that Sony makes, and you know, you need to throw some spec on their name. Shit, I know that's an old ass meme, but respect them. Lastly, I want to talk about backwards compatibility. Apparently that's the thing that people are really concerned about. So let me just mention a couple of different things before I actually speak my mind on it. So here's a quote: with all the amazing games in PS4's catalog, we have devoted significant efforts to enable our fans to play their favorite games on their PS5. We believe that an overwhelming majority of the 4,000 plus PS4 titles will be playable on PS5. It doesn't really specify a date, so that's another thing too. Mark Cerny also said this shit: we are expecting backwards compatibility titles to run at a boosted frequency on the PS5 so that it can benefit from higher or more stable frame rates and potential higher resolutions. We are currently evaluating games on a title by title basis to spot any issues that needs adjusting from the original software developers. Also, one of the things that Mark Cerny said that raised a lot of concern is the fact that, well, they said this: the PlayStation Pro console is present in the PS5, but that's not without challenges. Some game code just can't handle the boosted frequencies of the PS5. The boost is truly massive because it's loading times and shit like that. So games must be tested on a title by title basis, and we're currently testing, and the testing is going very well. You got to understand, Mark Cerny, when he did that little deep dive in the PS5, that he stated that, you know, the backwards compatibility features in the top 100 games are going to, and you know, incorporate the features. Now, backwards compatibility features is different from backwards compatibility, so it is apparent that he's talking about boosted frequencies. But that also makes me think about how is backwards compatibility works and how is cross-gen is going to work in general. You ever think about that shit? Like, think about it. Games are already very close to 4K. Games are, you know, even with checkerboard rendering or 1800p, what benefit are we going to get from cross-gen games? You know, or backwards compatibility games? What is it going to do? And I believe personally, I mean, because the resolution is pretty much down packed. I think they already got that sorted. But I mean, just think about this shit. I really don't know what they would do for it other than other than frame rate. I would imagine all of the backwards compatibility or cross generation is going to be like 60 frames per second, such as like The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima. It's going to be a 60 frames per second boosted. But you know, that's what I see. I don't know what else they could actually do. This shit that I'm thinking about. I hope on June 3rd we're going to see a lot of information.